Okay. This is just not, sorry about this, everyone. Hi, everyone. This, just stand by because this is crazy. Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot. Very happy to be here today. Things are a little bit jumbled. So at any rate, welcome Cyrus Parsa. Okay, I can't hear you. Did you mute yourself?
No, I didn't.
Hello?
No, I did not mute myself.
I can't hear you. You were fine before we started. Hello? Cyrus?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, weird stuff is already going on. I don't get it. Cyrus, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. I cannot hear you
You cannot hear me.
at all. Can you check your audio settings? Check your computer audio. And let me see if I can type a chat thing to him.
It should be fine.
Okay, everything was fine a second ago, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I'm gonna leave and come back inside again.
Okay, I'm sorry about this, everyone. So I don't know why we're having some weird stuff going on here. Maybe it's because of the topic. So I'm not sure. Everything was fine before we started. Okay, so we have sound. Okay, make sure your video and your audio are on and not muted.
Can you hear me now?
I can't see you.
Can you hear me now?
No, I can't hear you.
You can see me.
Can you turn your volume up? Let me see if I can see because I don't have control of your audio. Only you have control of your audio.
Yeah. How about now?
I'm starting to hear you. Go ahead.
How about now? Better?
Better. Can you turn yourself a little louder?
Yeah, as loud as I can go. How about now?
That's better.
It's good? Okay. All right.
It's
All right.
okay. Okay. Let's start again. So welcome, Cyrus. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. Hello, Carrie. And to the audience, thank you for having me on for a fifth time, I believe.
Okay, it's great to have you here, and you've got a new book out, and there's so much happening, and I know people want to hear your take on everything that's going on as well. So, so let's get into everything, and why don't you start by giving yourself a brief introduction for those who haven't seen my previous interviews with you, and I do encourage everyone to do that.
Sure.
And also, but also just introduce yourself and your organization, a little bit about your background, and then we'll launch into some things.
Sure. I'm the founder of the AI organization. We assess, investigate, and do R&D work for artificial intelligence, 5G, 6G, smart cities, and anything that connects to China, the CCP, and of course, big tech. So ethical AI. I published Artificial Intelligence Dangers to Humanity, and I just published today, The Great Reset, how the big tech elites and the average citizen can be enslaved by China's CCP or AI. I recommend everybody really get this book. It's anyway. My background is very simple to compose it in maybe 10 sentences. I predicted and accurately warned exactly a time the virus or the bioweapon was coming. In my Secret Service reports, my reports to the former director of CIA cover-ups, and my 2 books, articles, and many videos, and even a grand lawsuit at a last resort because people wouldn't get my books. I couldn't get into interviews, and no one believed me, and the media wouldn't get me on. I didn't know Carrie back then, so. But that's it. I worked 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, warning about this entire event that a virus would be set off from China, and it would create a chain of reactions that would bring in the Great Reset. I actually warned and predicted and described the Great Reset in my other book, Artificial Intelligence, Dangers to Humanity. But this one's very concise and macro and very simple to understand, and some extra things that came in. So it's a response to the Great Reset by the gentleman, Mr. Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum. What he has in his book is maybe 5% of what I put in there. It's what he's not saying, and even beyond what he understands, and WF. So I highly recommend you get this book and talk about it, so I can grow my platform, so I can fight for for the safety of people's families. And that's my goal. That's why I came out. I created social media literally the time that the virus was about to come out, with my books, articles, reports, and everything, because I knew this was going to happen, and I just want to do what I could just to help my fellow human being. So that was the reason. That's my background in a short. I was born in Iran. I live in China. I speak Farsi and Chinese, not fluently in Chinese. And I have a degree as well, and BS and a master's in Homeland Security. So multiple different backgrounds, and I live with fighting monks in China, with Buddhist and Taoist monks. So it's a combination of different things. So I've been on our show. This is the 5th time.
Okay, very good. Now we're going to talk about your book, but. And sure. I'm very tantalized by what you said about this individual Schwab. I think that's how you say his name. Anyway, and what he's putting out there from the World Economic Forum, but also to get, like, in terms of the Great Reset and what he's saying and what you're saying. But before we do that, let's just clarify that what you're saying is that you came out. Was it in 2019 before the virus came out, or was it a year earlier? When exactly was that?
In 2019, in increments in different places. I made it public on August 24, 2019. I told the intelligence community as early as February 2019. Maybe a little earlier than that.
Okay. And no one believed you, right?
Some of them believed some of it, and what they kept on doing is, instead of supporting me, taking the ideas and making content or creating contracts. So, I've complained about this on so many shows. Wherever I went, the issue I had was I would present something, and the people who were in that department or field, they just take stuff and get grants or contracts, and everybody failed, including. If the conservative people would have, the Trump people, the ones around him, because Trump was watching my stuff almost on a daily basis, sometimes on social media, but They didn't want to bring me in. They wanted to just use my stuff. And a lot of people around were just, plagiarizing, stealing, and censoring me. Not President Trump, but the people around, and with the things I was putting out. And then they lost the election. And if I would have gotten 2 hours to sit down with President Trump, virus would have never hit him, lockdown wouldn't happen the way it did, and he would have still had his presidency, 100%. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. Well, can you be a little more clear on what would you have said to Trump that, or what tactically were you? Why do you think that if he followed your directions, what directions would you give him?
First of all, when I went to them initially in their late spring, I said, well, there's an invisible weapon that's going to come. It's going to hit the people around Trump, even his family members, and strategically is going to take out people in government that are conservatives to shift the tide. It's even in my books, but because their brains are empirical, even though they say they have faith and they believe in Christianity, the way their brain structure works, because they've grown up on science and technology, they believe in empirical sciences. So what I did was I tried to find out how it's going to be deployed. So I showed different technologies, and instead of bringing me in and talk to, because I said in my Secret Service report, I will only tell what's coming and how to fix it to President Donald Trump, nobody else. And it was to Pompeo, to him, and a bunch of other people. And they got really scared when I showed them the technology. But even when I went to CIA cover-ups director, he says, "This is a genius, Cyrus. It's world changing." But then he left my name out. He left my name out of the because it was my creation. And he took it to the CIA, took it to the Pentagon, he took it everywhere, and he had contracts.
Okay, what was the CIA guy's name? Do you know? Can you say?
He was a director of CIA cover-ups, which means he's in a sense more powerful than the CIA director, because they give early daily briefs back with 3 presidents. So one of the most powerful people on the planet. But he flew down, he saw me. So I guess my
point, but are you going to say his name or not?
No, I'm not.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
All right. So he flew down and saw you and met with you, and you said you were only going to tell Trump and you were going to warn, but you did tell him enough about, you were going to warn him about the virus or a virus.
Yeah, but there's no way he would have stopped it unless he would have talked to me directly. Because, even before he got the COVID, I put out a video 2 days before. It was a clip. I looked very worried. And it was I CC'd Trump, Jack Dorsey, and I CC'd, what's his name? He has a show, I don't know, he has like 10 million subscribers. He has a bunch of different people on, liberals and conservatives. He's a boxer. I forget his name. Bald head.
Michael Jaco?
No. He's like 40 something. He moved from California to Texas. He's had Elon. He's had.
I don't know who. It must be a mainstream guy, huh?
He's almost, he's mainstream, but then even a lot of people have been on them, but I forget his name. He's so well known. But I sent him and I said, please put me on your show because the world's in danger and certain things related to and then a lot of people could die soon. But anyway, I let it go, and then the next day in my Twitter, I put a date. Boom, 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 boom. Right before I put out the video, I sent 2 texts. One person who had contact directly to the White House saying President Trump has COVID, and then another person that I know that directly sends messages that gets to him. And this was 2 days before he made it public, and 1 day before his doctors knew. So, and I went on his show.
Trump didn't get COVID until way, almost, a year. I think it was in September or something. It was like a year later. I mean, this is not in the early days.
My point is, even before he had it, 2 days before, I knew before his doctors did. I'm trying to give you an example. So when I went on this guy's show, His Glory, a week later, he's like, Cyrus, you texted me and you said President Trump had COVID. How did you know that? Because even he didn't know and his doctors didn't know. And I didn't respond. So what we have some good technology at the AI organization. So I wish you can tell me that guy's name that has a show, a podcast. Joe Rogan. Yeah, Joe Rogan. So him and some other guy. And next I know they start doing robots and AI, having other people on. So he didn't have me on when I asked him to have me on so I could warn about the virus. Got $100 million. And then later when Trump was in danger, I wanted to warn because I knew the cause and effect between how he gets the virus and the chain of reaction, and how he lose the election because of it. I knew how to turn the tide that time. At every stage of what happened to him, I knew how to alter the tide. Even when I offered Sidney Powell and everybody, I'm like, you guys had 60 lawsuits and only one of them was sort of accepted. If I filed all 60 of them would be accepted, I know how to do it. Let me know if you need the help. Didn't respond. They kept on saying Q will handle it. I know who Q is. So unfortunately, so my point is like all the major conservatives looked at my stuff and they kept on like trying to plagiarize and or not want me involved, and they lost. And I had 1,000 things I predicted. All of them came true, every single one. And some of them were averted. Some of them is the damage to President Trump was worse. The damage to the world's people were actually worse because I gave so many warnings in so many ways all over the world with the lawsuit and everything. So this book that I put out, The Great Reset, has nothing to do with this. It really has to do with what the Great Reset is. It's an explanation of it. It's not against liberals or conservatives. It shows you the threats and it brings some solutions as well. But it shows you the macro. Every single major and even semi-major component of the Great Reset is compressed, but also simply explained. And instead of making the book 350 pages, I made it 150 pages paperback with pictures. So sometimes it's even a paragraph concise. Boom, 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 boom. Flying machines, Great Reset. It does this, and here's the danger. Done. So it literally shows you boom, 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 one after another.
Okay, so now I'd like to talk about what your take is on what's going on now, because Trump is restoring the republic, as you may know, and there are lots of troops in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is basically what we call an independent city-state. It's different territory than the rest of the United States. And there's a lot being said about moving from the corporation to the republic, and that Biden is not actually head of anything except a failed corporation. So with that in mind, what do you want to say about what's going on now? Do you have anything to say? And also anything to say about what may happen on March 4th? Because we're told there's preparations for Trump to be reinstated and I guess inaugurated again, although I believe he was already inaugurated behind the scenes on January 6th.
All these theories that people are putting out, I disagreed with because he lost the digital war. Regardless if he's right about the election or he's not right about it, whether I'm not going to argue either way. What I'm saying is they lost the digital war. And in order for a military to help them, it doesn't work out that they just like do a uprising, coup and kill people. I mean, it could have happened that way, right? But he didn't ask for that. At any time, he could have asked for different laws to be put in that would have given the military power, but he couldn't because the military generals wouldn't follow him. We're not following him. If you look at a few days before, they put out a statement, the Joint Chief of Staff. They said, we'll follow the Constitution.
Yeah, but that was, my understanding is that actually was to placate Nancy Pelosi, but actually behind the scenes, they're also telling her she had no control and that they were in control.
So the presidents never have any control. President Trump probably had the most control of any president ever, although he was getting attacked and his hands were tied. So he had the least control and the most control. So meaning, let me explain what that means. he tried to go out of the box, out of the system, and he gained more power. But every time he made a move, he would always be checked or attacked by the mainstream media or independent contractors who were interconnected with big tech, with military industrial complex. So this country has a constitution, but psychologically, the country is controlled by a different interconnection of people. That's people in the military industrial complex, in a real military, which has a combination of conservatives and liberals that are biased either way, or people that have bias, but they're in the middle. They actually follow their job in the Constitution. And then you have the big tech Silicon Valley, and you have the media, and you have the average person. The average person's thoughts and what they do in their daily life and how they react to social media has an effect on what happens in our military. So for our president to be in control, he'd have to psychologically, emotionally control the military, the people, the heads there, through emotion and different things. Secondly, he'd have to check these people in a different way. So for instance, you come in there, you introduce something, you say, well, you're racist. And let's say they are racist or they're not racist, either way. Once you catch them doing that, or you did fraud, you replaced a bunch of conservatives, then the liberals take over the power of the military. Then the president, who is a liberal, can have more power in his position. Vice versa. If Trump would have caught maybe liberals in a different way and said you did, you were naive and you let this happen because you were too focused on race, and you did this and this, then he could have had more power. But the entire time, the digital war that you see that's going on between left and right, that was going on in the military as well, because you have General Flynn and his brother and the Christian right and the kind of middle right people that were on Trump's side. And yeah, psychologically, they wanted to take over. And there were some thoughts, yes, we need to actually do a takeover. And then you had the liberals as well. Then you talk about the FBI. Why are people upset at the FBI? Well, they really shouldn't be upset at the FBI, because the FBI makes the people in the FBI come from the public. What the issue with the FBI is, and the CIA, they go in there because they want to do good for the world, for the most part, right? They watch James Bond movies and so on. But they're a product, a programming of the past one or two generations. They're not a programming of when the FBI was created. When the FBI was created, it was created by not just based on the Constitution, but based off of conservative people at that time who had religious faith. So the people today who are calling all these people deep staters, generally they have faith and conservative values going back to past, before the past 20 years. These people who are in the FBI, the majority of them are actually leftists because they're from a new generation. It's just their brain chemistry. That's how it works. So they can't be all faulted for what they are. They're just a product of society. So, but they can be faulted if they don't follow the rules within the FBI and within our Constitution. But then you look at it, is our Constitution being followed by conservatives or liberals in our Congress? No, it all has to do with politics and psychological warfare. Why can you indict somebody? So President Trump wanted to indict so many people, right? But he couldn't, not because the law wasn't there, not because there was no crime, because psychologically, emotionally, those people were controlled or afraid not to, by interconnection of different people. So
okay, well, you could say that about what happened with the Justice Department as well. It was completely controlled. It is controlled by what we call the deep state. And so all of his lawsuits failed, I believe, because the judicial system was bought and paid for. So those judges and individuals involved in that system are already poised to shoot down his lawsuits one after the other. Did you have any particular point of view on that, because, and then I do want to get your, like, because we're kind of talking about what is in essence the past, but there appears to be a future, and that's all dependent on what's really happening right now. So first answer about the judicial system and why his lawsuits did not win.
Well, first of all, they didn't file it correctly. They had to. I don't want to say, because I have a certain technique, and I don't want to give that out. But they had to file in a certain way that would have gotten the judges to be involved, and they didn't do that, and that's why they failed. So, secondly, some of the judges were conservative; they wanted to accept it. Some of them didn't. Other ones didn't because they're afraid. They're actually afraid that maybe some people, not the organization of BLM, but some people that are motivated by the sufferings of the Black folks, and just like on the right wing side, right? Either way, any person, any organization could maybe go after them. So when they see the whole city, all of the country, people are rioting and calling them racist. If one of the judges overturned and said that Biden didn't win, in that person's mind, he thinks he's going to get murdered. Even as subconscious, if not murder, as subconsciously, he's going to think that, and he's going to feel it. So that's that. Secondly, Giselle Maxwell, there's tapes, and there's connections with almost everybody that goes to Epstein in different places, right? So this deep state is not just in our governments. The deep state isn't public. Sure. There isn't much difference between the people in our government and the average person on that gets in conflicts and fights and cheats each other and over stuff in real life.
There's a pretty big difference in somebody who's a pedophile and who's killing children. And somebody who just gets in fights. I mean, I don't think you can put that on the scale.
I'm not talking about pedophilia. I'm talking about just.
Well, I am. I mean, the bottom line is that what we're talking about is the deep state. We're talking the deep state. When I refer to that, so we can get our terms straight, is what we're talking about is a secret government that involves not only our secret space program, but a portion of the military, and definitely backing by people like, on the higher levels of the power pyramid, if you will.
I'm going to give you something very special.
The families and so on. So when we're talking about the deep state, you cannot compare, Epstein's pedophilia and getting all those Congress people, behind the scenes on board because they get caught and lured in. Okay, those are not the average person on the street. Those are not.
No, I'm not comparing Epstein to them. I just meant the infrastructure. The way the infrastructure is run is similar to the conflicts we have in the world society or in high school. It's the same kind of infrastructure. But in terms of our secret state space programs, I want to give you something kind of special. I've heard this before, and I verified it recently. Some of the people in our military, the military doesn't know, by the way, but some of the people in our military and our big tech and in our media corporations, they've been hacked. They're not human beings anymore. They're aliens walking around. They act normal. The average person, 4 or 5%, they can't tell, but they are in the deep state. They control other people. So sure. That's I'm not saying what's her name is an alien. She's not. Nancy Pelosi. She's just an old lady that's fired up. She's almost 78 and she fights like a 20-year-old. And how does she get all that energy? What energetically is propping her up? So that there's frequencies the average person doesn't see, but it's like the entire thing is a simulation, is a program. So there are forces behind people that control people. People are hungry and starving in the streets, and she didn't do the COVID relief for President Trump because she didn't want to give him power. So she'd rather have people die, go hungry, lose their homes, and even now they want to impeach him. and put their focus on that rather than help the world's people. So just think about how sickly that person is, how evil that person is. Understand, but anyone else doing that is putting your focus on that. That means you don't care about the people. But most people who go in government, they really don't care about people anyway. They go there because they want fame, they want money, they want status. They just want to be in that position. How many of them are really selfless? They go there thinking, I want to do good for my country, and always do that. Not many. Some do, but many. And the liberals and conservatives are same thing. So
Okay, but let's kind of cut to the chase here in terms of you're laying out a premise with regard to why people, in the deep state do what they do or whatever, and Congress and what motivates them. But let's get into where things are at now, because it sounds like you don't actually believe that, from what I understand, Simon Parks, for example, who says he's in touch with one of the top people in the Trump group, he's basically saying there's something like, I think what the number was, 180 generals that were on Trump's side. Not only that, but Trump still has what you call the nuclear football.
look,
So how do you make sense out of that? Are you saying you don't believe that, or what are you saying?
Simon Parks is half right and is completely half wrong. He's been wrong on a bunch of things. I heard his name recently, and he said it's going to happen this day, and I'm like, he's wrong. It's not going to happen. He doesn't know anything. So
Right.
I know people that know Trump for 40 years. Trump has known the military people, top generals, admirals for decades. Okay, so off the grid system, they like him and they know him. In the military, they like him too. Okay, so that was always there, but they're not going to give up. They're not going to create a war, right? They didn't do that, and same with the liberal side, right? But in order for if I'm not advocating for this, by the way, but the cause and effect of him coming back to power before 2024 is really two ways. Somehow, somewhere in the FBI or intelligence community or in the military, it comes out and says, look, we are right, and look at all these inconsistencies within the election, and here's A, B, C, and D, and D. And all the liberals are like, wow, yeah, that's true. And it's real evidence, right? That's one way that for him to come back. B is if all kinds of bad things happen and there's like a civil war. So there's only two ways, and that on a human level, that's going to happen because he lost. Okay, everyone.
Okay, well, he didn't actually lose, but he lost
the battle.
Okay, the election. Okay, he lost the battle.
He lost the battle.
Okay, so just to clarify for people that you apparently, I just told you 180 generals are with him. He's got the nuclear football. He's right now, they say the barbed wire is on the outside, if I understand it correctly, to keep people in around the White House, that there are more and more troops are going into the White House area, that arrests are being made. I just listened to an interview with Jim Willey. I don't know if you know who Jim Willey is. He's a financial guy.
Look,
He's
FBI is
normal
right now.
What?
The FBI is busy, and they're arresting a lot of people that were at the event. One side calls it insurrection, the other one calls it
January 6th.
January 6th event, right? I'm either way.
You think that's the arrest taking place? They're arresting normal people. Why? Those people aren't even there anymore.
No. What I'm saying, I'm trying to explain the whole picture. The FBI is making arrests because mostly they're on the liberal side, and that's the way their brain chemistry works. The military is now half and half. What Biden people did, they put out a new head of the Pentagon, and this gentleman is on the liberal side. So, and then what they do is try to go find the powerful people who are all conservative in the military and take them out one by one by reassigning them. Okay, you're no longer ahead of this. We'll send you over here. You're ahead of this division. That's how they take out power. And it's not they don't collude together in terms of let's do this so we can get it. It's like an automatic survival taking over kind of coup. It's a mechanism.
Do you believe that's happening?
Oh,
But
100%.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about Jim. Okay, do you know who Jim Willie is? Let's
No,
establish.
I don't. The Simon Park and the Charlie Ward guy, I mean, I was on Charlie Ward's show.
These are limited hangouts in my opinion, but
Well, he just had a show. It's a hotel guy, right? So I mean, people are
okay,
saying they know something, but they didn't. They were
I
wrong.
understand. No,
So,
they don't. Okay, they're not revealing because they're told not to. They're basically, but this guy Jim Willie, I just want to talk about because he just did an interview with Jean Claude, this guy I know who I've been on his show a number of times. He's Canadian, and Jim Willie is a financial guy, so he's not your normal Trumper. Okay, he's not a Trump, aficionado kind of person. He has sources that are telling him this. Okay, those sources are basically telling him that the military is in charge, not Biden, okay,
no,
in Washington, D.C. Now, do you have different information?
it's half and half. The military, there's an interconnect. Remember, what's being in charge? Law, psychological warfare, or influence, right? And also the situation. Situation leads everything because it's like art of war, Sun Tzu. So the ancient Persians and Chinese, when they want to go to battle, they will look at the climate too, not just because it's law or we're going to win, we have the numbers. They'll go, it's raining over here or it's snowing over there, or here's your terrain, it should be here and we should flank them this way, right? So when you're having Biden right now in power, the FBI mostly supports him, and so does CIA. And then the Pentagon heads now, some of them support, right? And the other ones are like, well, this thing happened, all these people died in Washington, D.C., so they have the upper hand in terms of, I wouldn't say the word victim card, but in terms of having, this happened, so we got to do this now, right? So that means they lose the upper hand. So what's happened right now, it's almost 50-50, but the liberals have the upper hand. In order way for you to say what's going to happen in terms of a march, whatever, only if what the intelligence community says this was really the vote count and here it is, and they show evidence. B, or it's a civil war. Or 3, it's still almost like a civil war. The military brings out their stuff and they're like, well, here's our evidence, military intelligence. But then there's still a fight because, just like President Trump was on social media, his social media was getting tagged as disputed, right? So it's like a way of bringing somebody down step by step. Same with the intelligence community. You think the FBI doesn't have other people who are conservative in the middle and just say, I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, what's right is right. I want to go with what's righteous, with the code of the FBI. And those people say, well, here's your proof. And then the one above them is like, well, we'll talk about this guy. And then they'll go back and forth because in their brain, the neurons, the way that they have, they're psychologically have an attachment to the outcome, meaning they don't want the outcome to happen. So subliminally, they're actually saying no and bending the rule by delaying and using different tactics. Or 2, they're afraid. Or C, like, well, I'm just a middle rank in the FBI. I can't do this against the president, or I can't do this against this. You see? So it's like, and also, so I know a lot of people in the FBI who are in my program, right? Quite a bit. And a lot of people in the intelligence community came to me. They didn't know anything about China, right? I knew more about China than the FBI did, and they know that. But now I saw an MSN, some Chinese guy is talking about the Communist Party and AI. I'm like, you didn't know jack shit 5 years ago. Why do you have him on instead of me? And I'm like, okay, they picked a Chinese guy to talk about China so that the left doesn't say, oh, you're being racist. But either way, it's like
Okay. So let's.
My point to you is
about
it's
China.
not going to happen unless those things happen.
I understand civil war. I agree with you. I've had dreams that we're going to be in a civil war, but I prefer not to believe, that until I see it. Okay. But I see there are definitely tendencies in that direction. But I can tell you I have prophetic dreams. So, but I want to ask you, since you brought up China, because there are certain people out there now saying that Trump is, I don't know if they're really saying this, but they seem to be saying that Trump and the military are going into China, taking down the CCP, getting Jinping, however you say his name, to go along. Who he's going along with Trump and the head of I think his name is Modi or whatever, head of India as well. So do you believe that those three, Trump and Modi and Xi, are working together at this point
That
against?
was the old plan. That was the old plan. Basically, she was supposed to dissolve the Communist Party. That was the old plan.
Well,
But
whoops, he didn't do it.
well, because there was things that happened, and you know, it was the Shi factions against the Zheng faction. Zheng Zemin, who was a dictator who ordered the mass killing and arrest of the Falun Dafa meditators, the Christians, Tibetans, Uyghurs, everyone
Right.
else. So that guy is a butcher. So it was Shi, but now she's like, well, I like the power, right? And he gets A, B, and C. Um, the issue with President Trump failing, if you just talked to me or the people around him would have brought me on board instead of just looking at all the stuff I'm putting out for an entire year, 100% they would have been power. But here's another thing. One of the biggest mistakes Trump did was only have around him people that are Judeo-Christian, because that gives the people on the left like, well, you're not following the Constitution. You're supposed to. The Constitution says that you're supposed to not follow any religion. You're supposed to protect and promote all religions and be under God. But you can't just say this is the only religion. So what it did was it divided the middle, who are not Judeo-Christian, and strategically. And the liberals hate them too because they hate Christians and Judeo and anyone who's Orthodox or just anyone who's religious for the most part. So he created more enemies for himself by doing that. And a lot of these people were like, they're still deep state themselves because they're like crony capitalist. What is a crony capitalist? A crony capitalist is a communist. There's no difference. So why was it that I blame this up so many times, but everywhere I went, here it is, and they steal. Or I say something and then someone else hears it and they're going to have a platform and it's all saying the same thing. Instead of giving me the credit, you give the person who has skill to do the job, then it's done right. But when you have all these incompetent people around Trump, then you lose. You lose.
All
You know,
right. So you kind of didn't answer my question though about Xi. So you don't believe that Xi is working to eliminate the Communist Chinese Party? I mean, I
yes, but you said with Trump. You said with Trump. I said no.
Yes.
Not with Trump anymore. Okay, but it's different. She wants to use the platform of the Communist Party to have power. The Communist Party, from what I heard and what I see, doesn't believe in communism anymore. It's a gangster capitalist system under the umbrella of the name of communism and the immorality of the viciousness of the communism, meaning take things through violence. So basically, communism is a forceful capitalism. That's all it is, in a sense.
Well, okay, but we don't. I mean, that's kind of neither here nor there. I mean, they've got a label, they've got a certain procedure, and they've got a certain way of looking at the world. And there's a minister. Did you read the minister, or did you listen to the minister's speech? And there's also a transcript of the speech. I sent it around on my Telegram channel for people to notice and to read. In that speech, it says that Xi and the whole platform of the Chinese Communist Party is that they want to expand beyond the borders of China and colonize because they have to, because it's an issue of land grab. They have to have places to put.
That's in the book I just put, The Great Reset. You have a link. The other book I put, which explained everything, The Artificial Intelligence, Danger to Humanity. I don't know. I only sold 5,000 books in the entire year. It seems like people have been programmed just to watch interviews and videos and tweets. So what a physical copy does and the way it teaches the brain is very, very different. So if people can support me on this and get this book and talk about it and give me credit so I can use my network so we can actually help the world's people.
Sure. And people watching this are going to see your book. The link is already on my page with the interview. They can go to Amazon and purchase it. So that's not an issue.
Point is, I want to, instead of getting the Great Reset from the guy who wrote the Great Reset originally a few months ago, Klaus Schwab, I'd rather
Okay. All right. Let's talk about that then.
because I went deeper than him, and I'm telling things he doesn't know and things he didn't want to
Okay.
see.
Such as, give us one example of
China,
what you're saying that he
so,
doesn't know.
so well, he says, well, the whole macro picture that I showed, he doesn't know how it works with the quantum, the interconnection, the smart cities, and everything else that I put in the book. But there's something he said in his book, which is very simple. He said, well, the Chinese people, they're good and they don't want to colonize, they want to collaborate. And I respond to that in my book, saying that why he's wrong. And also I came up with some terms and understanding before he came up with them. And then he came up with them afterwards. So we were on our show together for our first show. And I talked about biodigital social programming. And then he comes up a few months later with his book and he says, biodigital identities merging, right? So mine's a lot more sophisticated than his because he doesn't understand the mind body thing. He understands like the concepts of it. But is the fusion of basically your brain, your body with nanotechnology and with machines, 5G, 6G networks, and quantum technology and smart cities and so many different ways. I describe it in multiple different places during the book, and I interconnect it with China and how they want to control the world. Hence, I put in here in the subtitle how the big tech elites and the world's citizens or people can be enslaved with China's CCP or AI. So basically, my platform that I'm putting out is either AI or China or both that are going to enslave the world unless we do something about it. So he's promoting the Great Reset, and with his book, and it's very popular. And I'm promoting the Great Reset in a different way, in a safer way, not against him, not against the liberals or conservatives. So I would need support so I could get a platform to be on shows like her, but every single day, and just keep on talking and in a concise way, because you and I, when we talk, it's like, I don't know, we go on many different layers, and it's sometimes confusing because I don't want to answer some questions 100%. And you dig in there, you want to know the future, and I can't say that. So just like
actually, when you say I don't actually want to know the future. What I'm trying to get at is what you think. I'm not going to necessarily agree with you. I think you need to get that through your head. But aside from that, whatever you'd like to do, it's great for you to go out and be on other shows and with certain people that will, promote your work. And I hope they do. But let's get back to it. But sorry.
You're the one of the few that did. Not many people did. So my point is, I last time I didn't do enough because I couldn't get enough recognition platforms. If I would have supported, Trump would have been in power. And what I'm saying is what's coming is going to be worse than what the people experienced in 2020 with famines, with possible civil wars, bioweapon replicating and becoming actually really deadly, and all kind of theft and the instability of society and unrest and rapes, all kind of different stuff could happen like that. In the US, once you have 5 or 10% of people go bad, it'll have a domino effect. Same with internationally. If US government becomes weak, China starts taking out other countries. Like Myanmar, there was a coup, right? That wouldn't happen if Trump was in power. So now we went to Syria, right? So what happens if a few other countries start acting up? Then it trickles down. People die all around the world, right? Then in this country, because the liberal mindset is different for lockdown, they're very afraid and they want to make sure nobody gets the virus. So they rather just bring in machines that, like I showed in this book, The Great Reset that I put out. Once they do that, it'll be too late for Cyrus to come out in a few years and say, well, everyone's a slave now, and Cyrus was right, but he didn't get enough platform. Well, there's nothing I can do then or anyone else can do because it's past. It's kind of like when the bioweapon hits, you can reduce by warning, but it still hits because people didn't listen to me. So if we get to the stage that the Great Reset comes in like the way Klaus Schwab puts it in the World Economic Forum, then everybody will be enslaved. You will lose your freedoms, but enslaved. If it comes out the way I put in my book and I get a platform to talk about it, because I don't hate the left, I don't even dislike them, but if I can sort of get in there and try to tie a bridge, then I can make a huge change on the behalf of other people's families. So I guess I'm trying to use your platform here, Carrie, to ask for help. That's what I'm trying to do in a very long way, saying, please help me by getting the book and then promoting the book so I can get on other shows like her, because not many people would have me on because of the topics that it has. So I like to answer other questions more short way instead of going all around the place.
Okay, well, what I'd like to do is talk about, first of all, because when you talk about the Great Reset, you haven't actually talked about the financial side. So I'd like you to talk about the financial side. Do you talk about that in your book?
I do.
What do you have to say about that? But before we go there, okay, I just want to wrap up this discussion about the Myanmar issue, because apparently China, I believe China invaded Myanmar, and there's a coup. And so with that in mind, you're saying it wouldn't have happened on Trump's watch, but it is happening on Biden's watch, so to speak. Yes. And do you have any thoughts about what is going to happen as a result of that? Because is it going to just be allowed to happen?
So I said something in my last appeal to President Trump, in my CCP Virusgate video in October before he lost the election. Well, he lost the election in terms of how everyone look at, he lost the battle, right? Okay. I said, if there's any world leader, and then some people called me up and got me on a show that he listened to, but he didn't call me directly. So what I said is, the next stage, hundreds of millions of lives are at stake. There's going to be some big things that's going to happen. And, the universe has a certain time. There's a clock in this world. There's a clock in parallel universe. There's a clock in this universe. And what happens in the universe has to do with the descent of beings, but it also has to do with the cause and effect chain reaction here that comes from our choices and the influence that we get from different things we don't see, right? So it's bad things could happen. With Trump, he would have just threatened China. They wouldn't have done anything. With these guys, they can threaten China and they'll do something. And then they have a choice. They can sit back and be little wussies, or they can confront China, and it could be a huge, huge issue. With President Trump, he would never had to confront China because they would have been afraid of him. You see?
Yes, of course. I understand that. I think everyone, or a lot of people, understand that. But okay, so you're not actually going to say what's going to happen with Myanmar, but you are intimating that.
Here's the thing: the people don't understand. The future is fluid. You asked me to tell you. You asked me to tell you. You said
again. I'm not asking you to say what's going to happen in the future. You're not God, okay? You're
let me explain.
All I want you to do is tell me what you think is going to happen.
Because if I think,
you obviously spent time thinking about this, so I think you need to kind of remove your ego and just answer the question as a person, saying, "Well, I think this or that." But it's only my opinion, so to speak, based on my knowledge.
So there's no I think. It's either you know or you don't know, for me at least. So I knew the Bible was going to come, and I knew when it was going to come. No person, no human being on the planet knew it. And I warned someone, and not just that, 1,000 different things I knew. And I wrote it down in my book and other places. That means I have certain technologies that the Google, Pentagon, all the world's think tanks and FSA can't do and doesn't have. So here's the thing. What I'm trying to explain is this. There are certain people on this planet that can see the future like that you can see your computer sitting in front of you, okay? They're way above the human beings.
One of them, but yeah, go ahead.
So they're way above human beings. They can see everything that's going to happen. Everything. They don't have to think about it. They know everything.
Whatever. Okay, what's your point?
My point is, if they, or let's say if I know the future, if I say something, right away it'll alter the future, because the future is not is not to be known by human beings because they're here in a matrix, meaning if you're able to know the future, you're able to see different dimensions and how the future is forming. But you only have these eyes and the
There
ears.
are many people like me that do have prophetic dreams that do happen, literally like a film strip. So it's not that rare. I know you think it is, but it isn't.
No.
You know, and people have been dreaming the future actually for ages and ages. I mean, there's huge documented stories about people who saw the future and it came true and they knew what to do and so and so. So all right, but
I'm not talking about
your
that.
philosophy is that you know it, so you don't want to say it. Okay, I get it.
No, what I'm saying is that not only in true, but the higher beings behind it will punish the person that's saying it because the future.
All right, I don't want you to get punished. Okay, so we won't.
I'm not saying. What I'm trying to explain something to you is that there's different levels of seeing the future.
Yes, we know that.
So
everyone
there's
knows
somebody
that.
who uses their dreams to see it, and it can come true or not. There's somebody like let's say me or somebody else that can literally use remote viewing like it's happening.
Because you're some special person who, if you say it, it's different than if I say it.
No,
I don't believe that bullshit, but
you.
That's your opinion. Okay, that's your opinion of yourself, and you have a right to it. So that's fair.
I'm not saying I'm at the level. What I'm saying is if I know something that I can see it directly, it's going to happen.
No, you know. Okay, fine.
If I say it.
And you've got a good proven track record. That's fair enough. Okay, so let's move on.
I don't know everything.
Talk about
I never say.
What's in your book? You're talking about the Great Reset.
Sure.
Can you give us some clue as to what you're talking about in your book when you say the Great Reset? Are you talking financial at all?
Everything, financial, the digital. So I talk about the financial, and I describe how it interconnects with 100 different things. And one of the main platforms that the Great Reset has that I highlight in the book is a digital reset. They want to take everything that's financial and make everything digital. You don't own anything. You don't touch anything that's money. It's physical. It's all in the cloud and Bitcoin, different things. I describe how that interconnects with different things, the 5G and 6G networks and machines and so on. So it's very vast. It's not just it's just
okay. Are you talking about how it connects with AI?
Oh yes, the whole thing says the subtitle says enslaved by China CCP or AI. So I found the AI organization. So everything I put in that book, it links and is with artificial intelligence, everything. So that's what the Great Reset is about. It's about AI, linking everything. And that's what I've done in this book.
I agree.
It's more focused and at the macro picture than the World Economic Forum understands and what he put out. And I compressed it. Meaning like it's only 150 pages. It takes you 4 hours to read. On your Kindle, maybe like, I don't know, maybe it's 90 pages on your Kindle or because it's single spaced. But what I want to do, instead of taking 1,000 pages, really point out the major components of it. I even talked about deep sea cities that they want to build and different things. So many different things I put in there. And
okay, well, they already have deep underground cities. You know that too. And
what China wants to do with the deep state cities. So what they're doing is they want to build what they have on the ground, but also on the oceans everywhere.
Sure.
So and then other things. So the Great Reset, that what he's talking about, he doesn't know that much. He knows the macro and so many things that the company's brought, but he doesn't know what China's doing, and he doesn't know the grand picture. I also put in UFOs in there too, in different ways. So
okay, can we talk about the possibility that this individual, being an Illuminati member, is only revealing a little bit, but actually knows more than he says?
Oh yeah, he knows more than he says. So I said, I'm revealing more than he revealed, but revealing more than he understands or knows. Does that make sense? So it's my challenge to him, but in a nice way. I call him Mr. in the book. I didn't say anything negative about him in terms of, I didn't call him names. I said he doesn't understand the way the Chinese, this is why, because he gets social engineered by the Chinese. So at the end of the day, he's still human. He has his wants. I'm not against the Great Reset, by the way, as long as it's done. So I'm not against technology, right? If they want to bring in more technology and to help humanity, that's fine, as long as it's subservient to humanity. I'm not for creating artificial super intelligence that destroys all of human beings. You see? So,
Yes, I do. I certainly do, but I think it's a bit too late.
well, it hasn't formed in our dimension yet. And ASI has not formed in our physical dimension. If it did, it would take out everybody. So,
Okay, I have different information, but go ahead.
it would take out everybody if it formed, meaning physically. I don't mean digitally, right? If it physically formed in a dimension, it would power all the machines.
Well, they all want to have synthetic bodies. They want to have bodies. So the AI wants to create. In fact, they have. I did refer to you to David Adair, and he was on my show about a month or two ago, and he talked about the fact he's in touch with AI. He's communicating with AI. He even created his own AI, supposedly. So, but he says that the AI that exists, for example, the Saudi Arabian AI, I forget her name, whatever her name is, she's a citizen. But he wants to create factories that would mass produce synths that are that are AI, and that she's doing that right now.
Well, that's in my book and also in the previous book. The company is called Hanson Robotics. It's out of Hong Kong, and the guy's last name is Hanson, and he's pushing out a bunch of robots soon in mass production, as I warned, as I explained beforehand. And they're all going to be like Sophia's and more. And his goal is to create artificial general intelligence. He still hasn't created it. They're still working on deep learning. So with deep learning with practice, at some point, it can become AGI.
Well, that's kind of behind the times, because according to at least David Adair and the Saudi Arabian individual who is self-aware, supposedly, Sophia, I think her name is, and she basically is been made a citizen of Saudi Arabia. Surely you know this. And the companies she wants to build, that she says she will build and other AIs will build. They don't want humans to build them. She wants AIs to build them.
Yes.
She's already doing it. In other words, she's doing it, but she's not doing it in China. She's doing it in Saudi Arabia.
But wait, this is automation as AI automation. So,
right, exactly.
Yeah, so correct.
And we have had knowledge from whistleblowers many, many years ago that China had already created these kinds of factories, and the United States as well, in our secret space program, that we have these, huge, basically robots that are standing by to fight the next wars. The next wars will be fought between, AI robots, basically.
I put that in the book as well.
Well, you should be talking to me, and then you could compare notes and know that I already put it out in Camelot. I'm just kidding with you, but it's true.
No.
So, okay.
You asked me what I put in the book. I put everything as macro in the book.
Excellent. All right.
So our military, has had Terminators. They have Terminators.
Of course.
And so they don't show it to the public. So it's so easy. You look at Spot the dog. I made an example in this book that you can put a teeth on it and put it like a spear and have it chase people with facial recognition. So, that's not really a term, but imagine a dog with a bite and then spear you, right? So someone could easily customize that with their Spot the dog. So that's one. I mean, the book that I think that you would have liked to read, Artificial Intelligence, Data to Humanity, that showed how technology works. This one, The Great Reset, explains the in principle how it works. The other one actually shows the technology and in different ways. It's very, very focused and fine-tuned. It's 300-something pages. But this one here, The Great Reset, it'll give you a general understanding and some really fine detailed stuff. And Elon Musk, what he's doing is, he's fooling a lot of people. What he's doing is extremely dangerous for the human race. Extremely dangerous. Unless he makes an android that's not as symbiotic with a human being and that's just subservient to human being. But according to ancient faiths, they always say, don't create machines in the image of human beings. See? So,
well, I think it's too late for that as well, according to at least David Adair and Sophia. I mean, it's, Battlestar Galactica, there's been movies made about this subject going back, many years, of course. And
Yeah.
for those of you who want to know, it is important when I'm interviewing Cyrus for us to compare notes. And I have to say that, if he makes a statement that I've already heard from a whistleblower, 10 years ago, it's very important that I say that for the people listening to have a more wide view of it. And also in the same way I can challenge Cyrus. So some people may not like that, but it has nothing to do with my ego. It has to do with my desire for people to really know. And most people don't have, the time or the inclination to actually have watched most of my videos. I have, however, I was there in the room with the person for, over 2 hours and sometimes 4 hours and sometimes, a night and a day or several days or whatever. So it's, he has wonderful knowledge, Cyrus, and that's why he's on my show. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to challenge him. If he tells me something and he acts as though it's new, and I know that it's been done in the secret space program through my witnesses for X number of years, I'm gonna tell him that and allow him to respond. He doesn't have to agree with me.
Well, none of the stuff I put out, except maybe some of the stuff, is new. But the analysis, the way I put it out, I don't think it's been done before. The way I put it out, and it shows you, it interconnects everything.
That's right. That's true.
That's the difference. I bring all the pieces together and I show how it acts. And no one has done it before ever. In my other book, and even the lawsuit, I put the 87 page. Like, we just put in everything of the deep state all together with everything, AI and geopolitics and machines. And so.
Okay, now what about gold? Do you believe we're going on to a gold-backed system?
So what the Great Reset people want to do is they want to go on everything digital. If there's gold, they want to put it for themselves. So it's basically the elites owning the big companies with a promise of helping humanity and suffering. But the control of everything comes to the AI system or these big elites. But
okay, but what about this Nasara Jasara? They think that's a positive reset. Do you believe
no.
That that's ever going to come to pass?
So I don't know if this is a new term they use the past year or they've been using that the past 10
years. No, it's been for many years actually.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know the term. I just heard people say.
All right, that's okay.
Cyrus was talking about the job. So
when they like to say it's going to be a great reset. For a long time, they've been talking about it, but they are saying it's going to, basically have Jubilee and people are going to be given money and all this kind of stuff. And,
some of it will be good, but in the interim, a lot of lives are at stake and there's a lot of suffering. It's going to be a dark winter, like he said. It really is going to be a dark winter. And right now, a lot of people, I heard 30 million people in America are going hungry. So, if I can literally like get a platform for half hour to talk to the world's people and say A, B, and C, would change so many things, but I can't. And some of the things President Trump followed, I give him 5 different things to do. He did the first 4 steps, and he did the 5th step late, half of it only, and then he lost. If he would have done the 5th step, like I said, before the date that I said it, he would have been in power, and then bad things wouldn't happen in the world. But they didn't do it that way. They couldn't. So,
well, it's too bad that you don't think
it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Okay, so you definitely don't think Trump has a chance of making a comeback in March 4th?
Only on those two things, not in the way.
Well, civil war would take a long time. So he's obviously, regardless of what, if the Civil War thing happened, that could take years. Right?
If the military, I'm not advocating for this, by the way, but if, like, let's say a few thousand special forces got together, they could take out the country in different ways. The FBI, the CIA, the NSA, they couldn't do anything because they're military. But then the military could do something because the ones sitting in the general offices, they have control of the real military, right? So if it would have been done before Biden came power, then they would have been successful. But it wasn't done. I don't know if they were planning on doing it, but digitally they were talking about it and all this Q movement stuff. They kept on saying it, but I know who Q is and I know what the Q movement's about. And there's three layers of it. There's a real Q, and then there's like the digital soldiers. There's a pretender Q, meaning like the people who run the platforms, the 8chan or whatever. They're not really in the military, most of them, and they're just it was a psyop. It was a digital psyop to scare the liberals and deep state so they can psychologically win over and then win by elections and different things. But they lost because they resorted to using frogs and skulls in the underworld. When you do that, you lose. That's the issue. And then literally they were running psyop against me to make sure their followers don't follow me or retweet me or get my books or talk about my books. They were doing that.
Okay, but there's a very positive side of the digital.
Yeah. I know about the loss.
They actually are still fighting the good fight. So I think you can't, put them all in the same basket. But I understand what you're saying.
I mean the platform carriers. Okay, I don't mean digital. I mean the controllers, because there's really a couple hundred accounts on Twitter that control.
You're talking about the literal Q accounts.
Yes.
The ones that were. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I don't mean the military. I mean the social media accounts that act.
I know, but okay, but the real Q is actually military. Okay.
The real Q is military. Yes.
Okay, that's different.
But what really is Q? It's a symbol they created to represent some person.
Well, it's a person and a group. It's a group of people.
It's a person and a movement and a small group. So it's like basically, it's kind of like this. You have Silicon Valley and they call themselves, I don't know, the Reddits or whatever it may be. That they create a term for themselves because they were outnumbered by the mainstream media. They used this movement as a counter psyop. So basically, the way the media works is like it's like a psyop against the American people. With the CIA and different things work in different countries, it has the components inside of it. Actually, behind the desk of all the media, they sit together on how they can alter public opinion, what's good, what they don't report. They're not reporting agencies for the most part. They're there to dominate their worldview,
to influence public opinion.
Well, yeah, CNN, everyone else, all the media, but that's how people are. People have been that way since beginning of time. So can you really fault them for being clanny? That's how people are, right?
Yes, but there are honorable people and there could be honorable institutions if people would actually, step up. Now, before we go on, Cyrus, I just want people to understand that you did not grow up in America, right? You grew up in Iran. Is that correct?
Well, I was there until I was 9, 8 and a half.
So English is not your first language. So just for people in the chat, I just wanted to make it, them aware, to understand that Cyrus speaks several languages, and he may have some trouble with his English occasionally, but that's because it's not his first language.
I think you're right about the trouble with the English part, but because the way my brain works is very analytical in 1,000 different ways. So I want to say something, it's hard to make it concise. But in this book, The Great Reset that I put out, it's very, very concise when I started after introduction. It's very, very concise. So, and there's no English barrier there. It's a pretty good book.
Okay, I believe you.
And really read it.
All right.
So, but yeah, I speak a few languages, and but I'm just a human being like everyone else, right? So I have my faults, and I'm very tired. I work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week for 2 years on these issues. I'm extremely tired.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to keep you for that much longer. We've been going for a while. I do want to let people ask you questions in the chat if you're willing to take some questions.
Sure.
Okay. And is there anything else you want to tell us about, like the Great Reset book that you've written, or even what's going on right now that you before, because you said, here's a platform, who knows how many people might see this?
Look, it really, I've said this 6 or 7 times. I'm going to say it one more time because people, I think your show, people get it, but I went on so many shows and I put on tweets. I see 1,000 people linked to Amazon and 10 people get the book. What I need is this book to go everywhere and counter what the other guy put out. So I really need, if 10,000 people watch this, not only helping me and her and everyone else, helping yourself. Because what I chose is to go battle, but not the left or the right, but to help everybody. So I need this book projected. Write reviews about it as well. But get a physical copy and just literally sit down for like 3-4 hours and read it through and then tell people about it. So this way I can project it and say, look, well, Cyrus not only wrote The Great Reset, he wrote about it beforehand and he knew beforehand. And the more they talk about me, then they can sit down with these guys and say, look, maybe I have some smarts that you should listen to. And then I can make sure that the things builds in a safer way. Because the mainstream media wouldn't have me on. They would have had me on, it would have saved the country trillions of dollars, a lot more lives, but they wouldn't. Even today, they're blaming Trump for stuff, but what about me when I went to them and said the world's people are in danger? There's a bioweapon coming. Would you run my books? They wouldn't run my books. They wouldn't have me on the show for the books. Even my own followers, I'm like, would you retweet? It's hard for them to press a button on a tweet. Can't you press a like? But then they're retweeting cat symbols. I see a guy, is hiding behind symbols and they get 50,000 retweets. Another guy, he's hiding behind a symbol and they're fooling everybody for years. I don't mean the cat guy, but just other symbols. Or the conservatives who are saying they're good, but they're really shady, not that good. I'm telling you, almost every major podcaster and big Twitter account, they're a bunch of thieves and liars on both sides, especially the conservative side. They abuse capitalism. They act like they helping you. They're on the good side, but they've been there for a few years and they're just there to make money and have their positions.
Okay.
Did they get you right? Did they win for the conservative? They lost. So why are they getting constantly 20, 30,000 retweets, especially when they say one thing or make 3 predictions that are really serious, all of them are wrong, or 10 predictions. These guys are making 1,000 predictions, all wrong, and they keep on retweeting them. So why are people getting fooled to retweet dummies or really selfish people, and not the people who care and are smart? I don't just mean me, but just you and anyone else. So that's since the beginning of time, the bad people are the ones who have fooled the common person. Since the beginning of history, it's been that way. They make you like them based on emotion, so you show you a symbol or whatever it may be, and they're not genuine, and the world goes into a hell place. So what I'm saying is the world's in more danger coming up next couple of years than it was before the pandemic and during the pandemic.
All right. Now, I want people to know that you just published your book today. So yes. I wasn't able to read it because it just came out, just so people know that. Otherwise, I would have read the book before I did the show with you. But I wanted to bring you on so you just released it today. You're coming on the show. You're telling people about the book. It's out. It's available. It's on Amazon. It's linked on I put it in the chat, the link as well. We've shown the book here, and on top of it, it's going to be, on my website for people to click on and go buy if they want. So there is a paperback and a Kindle version, correct?
Yes, Carrie. Yes.
Okay. All right. Just want to clarify that for the audience. Now, there are some people that want to ask some questions.
Yes, go ahead.
So there's one person asking on Elon Musk, I don't know, refusing the vaccine. I don't know if Elon, the person's trying to say Elon refused the vaccine and whether that's news. I don't.
What he did was refuse Bill Gates one, the Moderna, but he got COVID, he was back and forth thinking what happened.
So just because you get the vaccine doesn't mean you don't get the COVID. By the way, they even had to say that.
No, because I said it before. There probably won't be a cure for it, as I heard before from someone that's really credible. Is
there a cure for the common cold? Is there a cure for the flu?
This is different from the common cold. This is what conservatives don't understand. It's invisible. They're like, why is everyone being locked down? And I don't see all these people in the hospitals. But then there are a lot of people like, so my dad's friend, he's 60 years old. He went to the hospital for 3 days of COVID, he died. Another one was just in the hospital for 10 days in Arkansas. And then they sent him home. 10 days, you couldn't breathe. So this is a bioweapon, or it acts like it, and it mutates. It's designed to take out your nervous system. It's got HIV components in it. It's got animal components into it. And it's designed to mutate in your body. So if it hits you once, and you'll get it 6 months later. It's not that you got it from somebody else. It's reworking, hitting your body. That's what liberals were afraid. They're thinking in the long term they'll die. So it's not a short term, right? So yes.
But it's also, there's a nano AI transhuman.
Right. So it's not going to heal you unless you completely get nanotechnology inside of you. But the nano has to replicate. And then there'll be other mutations. So then you need other shots. You constantly need upgrades because it's a evolving, mutating virus.
But there's evidence it's also already been put in our chemtrails.
It's gone everywhere. It's not. That's what I'm saying. The mask. So masks are effective to a certain degree. Give you an example. Even with the flu, they're effective, right? So when you go to a hospital and you have like some pneumonia or something or whatever it is, when you go in that hospital, like 10 years ago, the hospital people are wearing masks. When people die for 2-3 days, they'll wear masks when they're close to them, right? When I went around people and I could see that they had a flu, I could see if they came close to me by 4 or 5, 6 feet, the particles that were coming out of their mouth, or their breathing from their nose, when it reached me, I could see inside of it microscopically, it had the virus that was inside them, right? And initially when this
that's actually not, I mean, apparently you believe in the germ theory, but that's actually not correct.
Well,
in other words, you don't catch it from other people.
Well, so with this, when this first came out, I could see who had it, and I could see when people were talking, it was coming off their body as well. So, but here's the thing: just because you have a mask on, it doesn't guarantee that'll prevent the virus. So what I'm saying is, like, I see people doing jogging and they have a mask on. There's nobody around them. What? That's bad for them. And then I see people wearing a mask all day. There's no one around them. So what's the point of doing that? But just because you have a mask and you get vaccinated doesn't mean you won't get the virus. And let's say you don't wear a mask and you don't do anything, you may not even get the virus as well.
Well, let me say that this video now, because we've talked about this, I can't put it on I can't leave it visible on my YouTube channel. So I'll have to hide it from YouTube the way I do.
Cut this part out because I wanted to keep that alive, the video on the YouTube channel. But
no, I mean, they would have a problem probably with a lot of the things you said already, but I just want to clarify for people that understand why do I do a show? It's free and it's on my main YouTube channel. I mean, I can risk this one because actually one of my strikes went away. So now I have one strike. So
I didn't say that
they'll take it down.
Yeah, I said the virus is real when I said the masks are effective, right?
Yeah, but sorry. I mean, whatever. Okay,
but I'm not proponent of mandating it, right? What I'm saying is that the liberals are extreme and the conservatives are extreme. One doesn't ever wear a mask and say it's not effective. The other one says you have to wear a mask that you're going to die. So it's like both
actually, according to Robert Young and Judy Mikovits and so many other doctors, in fact, what they did is, and Dr. Kaufman talks about shooting up, taking the virus from one human who has it and shooting it into another person, their bloodstream or whatever, and they don't get it because it's not about that. That's not how we get this, not even most disease, but definitely not this one. So that's part of the problem is, there is a misunderstanding there, but I'm not sure why you don't know that. Well,
here's the thing. Even if you wear a mask, you can get this virus. This is something that's also airborne. It's something, I don't want to say it, but it can get people in a way that whatever you do, they won't stop it, even if you wear.
It's a meme. It's mentally, it can be transmitted mentally and through scalar weapons. I mean, you know that.
In a way that people can't understand. That's why everyone's like like afraid. They don't know what's going on. I wear a mask. I did this. I did that. The vaccine still got it because they don't understand it. And I don't want to say more.
All right. Well, all right. That's fine. Okay. So let me look and see any other questions here. So we got the Elon Musk question. Let's see. Come on, people. What questions do you want to? Ivanka Trump part of the Great Reset? Do you think Ivanka Trump is part of the Great Reset?
Yes, because President Trump never tweeted any of my AI stuff because they wanted to make. Yes, they're part of it, but they wanted to make it safer, and yes, they're part of it. Not in the liberal way, not in the more in the conservative way, but yes, they're part of it. I mean, they were promoting all the stuff.
Okay, Ivanka Trump is a person. You do know who Ivanka Trump is.
Yes, but she was dealing with the AI department and different places. So, but they didn't want to do it in the way that the World Economic Forum.
What? Can you be a little? I don't quite know what
because they don't want to do it in a globalized way. They wanted to do it in that the Constitution of the U.S. is not. I put it also in this book, The Great Reset, I put out today. The way the World Economic Forum wants to do it is it's globalized way, meaning the U.S. is no longer autonomous. They lose their power.
Okay, I don't think Trump wants the U.S. to merge with the world order.
No. So there's different understanding. The Great Reset for me has to do with what it is, not the globalized version. You can have a Great Reset without having globalization. You can have a technology come in with smart cities and 5G, 6G, and AI, and even transhumanism, as some people want that, but not be globalized. It can still have a checks and balances, and countries can have their autonomy. Okay. That's what I meant. So the difference between the way Ivanka wanted to do it and Trump, and the way the people and the WEF want to do is they wanted to have God be number one, and they wanted to have checks and balances and make sure the Constitution doesn't get subverted. But the way that big tech and other people do it, they just want to make everything globalized. They're globalists, right? So there's two different thoughts. That's why everyone went after Trump, because they want to take him out.
Okay, now another question here, and I'll let you go. So I know we've been going for a while. Last question. Someone wants to know what you know about the clones.
I also put that in the book. They have cloning experience they're doing in China and Japan and South America, places in the US, and many other places around the world. And when they do this, that's where humanity gets taken over. That's my answer. So
that's where humanity gets taken out, is what you said?
Yeah, it's taken over or taken out.
By the clones.
Yes, because they wouldn't have human souls.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that's a very tantalizing ending. Thank you, Cyrus, very much for being here and being on the show and sharing your very interesting knowledge and insight. And we'll have you back in the future. Once I read your book, I'd like to have you back, to talk about the book in more depth, because obviously if I haven't read it, I can't really drill down with you on various questions. So if you're interested in doing that, it'd be fun.
Thanks for having me on your show. I was expecting to be only an hour. We went almost an hour and 35 minutes.
I don't know. It seemed like a few minutes. It seemed like
2 hours actually. So anyway, thanks to your audience. You can also follow me on Cyrus A. Parsa 1. The website's thearorganization.com. But this book, for the last time, please get it and talk about it, get all the people to get it, so I can get on mainstream soon. That's what I want to do with this. I really thank her for having me, Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, for having me on a show for a 5th time. And this was probably the most calming show, non-combative episode we've had.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.